Okay, this is the third time I'm trying to record this video. One, because my dog was chewing on that stupid ball again and it just sounds gross, I'm sure, on camera. Two, because I got literally to the very last section of this project and then my computer froze. So here I am. I'm hoping I can get through all of this and still do a good job of describing it to you guys without being so frustrated that I'm having to go through it all again. That's okay. Technology, man. Okay, so this is our first project. This is going to be a job research project. Now, again, guys, I need to clarify and make sure you understand. Projects, jobs too, I guess, but projects are the most important part of your grade. They are half of your grade. So if you can get this project turned in, boom, there's half of your grade. And of course, again, you have to do it well enough. It can't just be like crap thrown together. You'll lose some points if it's not incomplete sentences where I say to, grammar, all of that stuff. But it's relatively easy points as long as you do it. If you do not do the projects, there literally goes half of your grade. So for example, if you're looking in student view right now and you see your grade is a 70% after doing all of this homework and taking the test, you do not turn this in, your grade will drop 50%. Your grade will drop to a 20%. And that's going to suck. But once you get the project in, boom, it'll come back up. So please do your projects and you will be fine in this class. So this is our first project. Again, we'll have a project at the end of every unit. So this really concludes our pre-unit because before we can do anything with finance, you have to have a job, right? You got to be able to make money. So this will be our first project for this unit. We will have another project for our next unit, which is actually about employment, but we'll have another project for that. Now, how every single project is going to work is you're going to have a template like this. You should have already kind of pulled this up from Canvas, and you're going to have a video that I will make describing and walking you through how to do it step by step. So as you watch this video, I would recommend maybe watch a chunk at a time, pause it and come back, and try and do that chunk, and then you can come back and watch the next part. So here's the website we're going to be using. If you can go ahead and copy and paste that into a new browser. I already have it pulled up here. This is the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. It's a government website that tracks labor information and statistics. This particular thing is it's the Occupational Outlook Handbook. What it does is it lists a bunch of jobs. It's not the end all be all. Sorry, also, if you're like, I want to be a drug dealer, that's not on here. Pharmacist, if you want to be a pharmacist, you could do that. So just don't be discouraged or disappointed. Obviously, you want these projects to be useful to you and to be something you're interested in. But if you can't find the exact job you want, tell me, and I will help you find something similar. So what I recommend you do is you can pause the video in just a second. Take some time to kind of browse through. You are eventually going to need to find 2 jobs. Notice this is copied twice. That means you're going to fill it out for 2 different jobs. Now I recommend, though it's not required, you to find one job that's in the low to mid paying range and then one job in the high paying range. Low to mid, I would say, is anything like $80,000 and below. 80,000 and above is more of a higher paying range. So you might want to pause the video and take some time. I'm going to show you real quick though. You can kind of look, these are different categories. So let's go ahead and let's look at legal, because this is a very common one. A lot of people say, oh, I'd like to be a lawyer because I love to argue and I love the movies about lawyers. It looks so cool, as well as they make a ton of money. So when you click on one of these categories, you're going to see different jobs in that category because the legal category includes a lot of different things. For example, judges, right? You could be a judge, lawyer, paralegals, they just assist lawyers. It's not nearly as much education needed, and still, this is a decent pay for not having nearly as much education. Let's go ahead and click on lawyers. So I'm going to kind of talk you through this. When you click on a job, you're going to see a summary page, but I want you to ignore this. What you want to really look at is these next 4 tabs, because notice how easy this is. What they do, work environment, how to become one, and pay. Boom. So these 4 tabs are the ones you want to look at. What you're going to do is you're going to either summarize the page, depending on what I tell you, pull out some important information, and you're going to fill it in on your project. Now, right here, again, this tells you what to do. So delete that out and type 3 to 5 complete sentences on what they do in their job. Same thing here. Delete that out, and then you're going to type 2 to 3 sentences on their work environment. So what I want you to do right now is kind of take some time. You can pause the video. Take some time to kind of browse through. If you have something specific in mind, there we go. If you have something specific in mind, you can click search. You can ask me, hey, I'm looking for this job. Where would I find that? You've got arts and design, you got education, you want to be a teacher, healthcare, if you want to be a doctor or a nurse, tons of other stuff, protective service, that's like police, security, firemen, military is there as well. So take some time, pause the video, browse through and see if you can pick at least one job. Again, you're going to pick 2 eventually, but see if you can pick at least one. Okay, so let's come back. So hopefully you have picked your job already. So I'm going to go back to lawyers. So what you're going to do, and again, you're going to want to pause the video after I talk through this chunk. You're going to summarize the what they do section. So this talks about literally what they do in their job. Depending on the job, it might be longer, it might be shorter, but it'll say something like this. It'll have the duties, and then it'll have a whole page of information on what they do. You only need to pull out 3 to 5 pieces of information and write them as complete sentences. Again, do not bullet. Make sure you're using proper grammar, capitalizing I, and everything else you need to do that you should have known how to do since you were a freshman or earlier, and write it here. So again, there might be a lot of information, there might not be a ton. You only need 3 to 5 sentences on what seems like the important things. For example, lawyers may have different titles and different duties. That's not very important. Great, that sounds good. That doesn't tell me anything about what they do. So make sure you're pulling out exactly what they do. So pause the video, go back to your job, and try and pull out and summarize the important information. Okay, the next chunk is work environment. So again, depending on the job, this may or may not be a very big section. Lawyers don't have a ton of information, it looks like, which is why you only need 2 to 3 sentences. So for example, for me as a teacher, now my work environment changed very recently. But before COVID, my environment was I was having to stay on my feet all day. I was having to talk a lot. I was having to be around a lot of people and a lot of kids, teenagers. I was having to work a lot of hours outside of my normal salaried 40 hours a week. I was having to work at home. And possibly having extra stress. Having extra stress because of the nature of the job. So that's what you want to say for work environment. Things to keep an eye out for is like, is it a manual labor type job? Do you need to be strong? Do you need to be able to lift heavy objects? Do you need to be able to do very precise things? Are you sitting all day in front of a computer? Because you know that's also exhausting because you guys do it for school. So work environment is literally what situations are they having to work in? Are they having to do manual labor? Is there a lot of stress? Is there a lot of traveling? Stuff like that. You'll want to pay attention to this section because certain jobs might seem awesome. And then when you realize some of the things, some of the situations they have to work in, if you're like, oh, I love computer coding, it's awesome. And then you think, oh, I have to sit in front of a computer for 8 to 10 hours a day. Doing coding in little chunks is fun, but then I have to sit for that long. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want a more active job. So pay attention to that section and then summarize here 2 to 3 sentences. Go ahead and pause the video and try that for your job. Okay, so the next chunk is how to become one. Now for this section, you're not typing right here. Don't type right there. You're gonna type in these two chunks. So we're kind of breaking down how to become one, which is talking about the education needed, licenses and certificates, if there are any. It's possible if there aren't any. And then the skills that you need to become one, or at least to become a good one, we should say. So the education is up here. You want to say if they need to have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, just an associate's. Do they need to go all the way up to doctorate? You'll want to say that. Licenses and certificates and possibly registrations. So what this is different than education. A license means that you are allowed to do that job by the state or by the city or by the country. Yeah. Lawyers, for example, have to pass the bar. You've never heard that before? The bar exam? It's what all lawyers have to take in each state in order to practice law in that state. So you can actually not go to lawyer school and just take the bar exam, and if you pass it, you can practice law. No one does that because it's very hard to do, but you cannot practice law unless you pass that test. Even if you do have a degree, you're not legally allowed to practice law unless you pass that test. So even for certain jobs like cosmetology related jobs, that's like hair, makeup, doing nails, stuff like that, beauty related type jobs. There are licenses that you have to receive and tests you have to pass so that people know when they're coming to a salon or when they're going someplace that the person who is doing all of their hair and nails and whatnot is not some hack job, that they actually know what they're doing. So summarize that section. It's possible that there are no extra licenses or certifications. Now for the last piece here, again, that was education, licenses, certifications. You just want to summarize, or you can list there. They need a bachelor's degree. They need to pass the bar exam. They need to reapply every so many years. The next chunk is the important qualities. So that's at the bottom. Scroll all the way down. There you go. Important qualities. So depending on how many there are, you can list a few or you can list them all. There's not too many here. Depending on the job, sometimes they give you more. And you don't need to write out all of the sentence. You just need to give me the skill in particular. Because again, certain jobs sound great, but if you don't have these types of skills, you're not going to be successful. For example, if you're like, oh, I'd love to be a lawyer. It looks so cool. And then you're like, ooh, research skills. Oh, I kind of suck at research actually. Or writing, writing's not my thing. Then maybe you don't want to be a lawyer because you wouldn't be great at it. So list those skills. Again, you do not need to write the whole sentences here. You can just list a couple of the important qualities that lawyers need to have. So again, pause the video, go back to the job you found, and fill in this how to become one section. Okay, almost there. So next to last section is pay. So let's go back up. Pay. So for the pay section, there's only 3 things we're going to be talking about. We have the lowest 10% earned, the median annual wage, and the highest 10% earned. So now when you look at the pay section, it's going to vary again. There might be more information for other jobs, but you're going to see like a list of different types of lawyers. You're going to see, or different types of whatever job you have. You're going to see a chart probably, but the information we need is going to be in the top few paragraphs. You might have to read through a little bit, but it's going to be in those top few paragraphs. So for example, it says, hey, right here, the median annual wage was this. I keep reading, blah, 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 blah. The lowest 10% earned less than $59,670. So that's what I would put for lowest 10% earned. They gave me the median, and then the highest 10% earned more than $208,000. So what that means, hopefully you guys know median means the middle. So of all of the lawyers, There's what the exact middle person earned, 122,960. That's not bad. For being in the middle, that's a super high pay. But it is important to also understand the lowest 10%. So what this means is, again, of all the people who were lawyers, if we put them in order from how much money they made, from least to greatest, the lowest 10% earned less than 59,670. To put that into perspective, I earn about that much. Now that's after 7 years of teaching and a master's degree, but still, some lawyers struggle because it can be hard to get clients if you're not well known. It can be rough. But the highest 10%, so the highest paid chunk of lawyers earn more than 208,000. That's a lot of money. It's important to understand the range of pay because if the range is very wide, that can mean a little bit of luck is involved in that job. For example, being an actor. If you go to the actors section, the lowest 10% are basically in poverty. The highest 10% are millionaires of actors, right? Because yes, you can go to acting school and you can be an awesome actor, and you might just have not had the luck required to get some of these jobs or the connections. Yeah, sometimes your parent is famous and that's how you get in. So you want to be aware of that. If the lowest 10% and the highest 10% are really far apart, that means it might not be so easy to make it into the highest 10%. It might not be just skill, it might also be luck. So go ahead, go back to your job that you found, fill in those 3 chunks, and then come back for our last section. So for the last section, I had a website for this, and this is part of the reason why I had to restart the video. When I tried to open the website, it froze my computer. So I'm not using that website because I don't want to risk that. So what you're going to do is just go to Google, and I typed in, let me go back actually. Let's actually show the main Google screen. So I typed in my job, and then I put job opening. Now, you can say anywhere. I went ahead and said Phoenix. It's possible, depending on the job, you might not find one in Phoenix. You could say Arizona. If you want to move to New York, you could say New York. Or if you want to move to California, you can say California. So I'll go ahead and say this. So this is just some job openings for lawyers. They're open right now. If you have the qualifications, you could apply. You just need to pick one. Doesn't matter which one at all. But you can skim through if you're curious. I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and click this one, agency attorney. So when I click on it, they'll give you a job description. Hopefully they should say typical pay for this type of work. Now, it's kind of a huge range here. Let's actually click that. Woo! So sorry. On the job description, if it says read more, scroll down and skim through it, because they may or may not tell you the pay in this job description. I don't know why. I hate it. It's a really stupid practice. But for very high paying jobs, they often do not tell you the salary in the job description. They make you come to the interview and then they tell you how much you get paid, which is really stupid and frustrating because you're like, okay, I specifically need a job that pays me this much. And then you get there and you find out it doesn't pay you that much. And you're like, well, I wouldn't have even applied if I didn't know. So like this one, for example, it says, I saw it, where did it go? Salary and level to be determined by experience and qualifications. And you're like, can you give me even a little hint? So these are some hints. Typical pay for this type of work, it kind of ranges. So I would say pick one, just pick one. Because you're going to say the company. So this company is, let's see, this is actually the city of New York. So that's actually the company you want to say. This would be being hired by the city. They'd be your boss. So that should say up here what the company is. Here it says this company, for example, is Stephen Einstein and Associates. The location is New York. Again, you could search in Phoenix, you could search in California, wherever. So this location, New York, New York, boom. Job requirements. You need to read through the job description. Obviously, it's going to vary, and see what the requirements are. You just need to say a couple things here. Doesn't need to be a huge long paragraph, but just a couple requirements about the education needed, about the types of things you're going to be doing. And then base pay, like I said, you can go ahead and pick one of the typical pays they say, unless they tell you the base pay in this description. Like I said, a lot of jobs will not. They will not tell you the base pay because they want you to show up to the interview and then be like, well, crap, I'm already here. Fine, I'll just do the interview. And then when they offer you the job, you're like, well, this isn't the pay that I wanted, but they're offering me a job. That's what they want to do. So they may or may not tell you the pay. If they don't, it'll say down here. Now, like I said, you can kind of scroll through. It doesn't matter at all. You just need to pick one job that is actually open. Ooh, the tour project, cool. That is actually open, and then write the information there. So you can pause the video, you can go do that, and then you can come back and we'll wrap the video up. So if you did as I told you and you paused this video after every section, that means you've got one job done. Yay! You have to do it one more time. So you don't need to watch the video again, I hope not, but you're going to find one more job. And like I said, I might recommend picking two very different jobs, or one that's high paying, one that's low paying, to try and compare and see the differences between them. You're going to do the exact same thing one more time. Once you're done, you'll submit it in Canvas, and then you're good to go. So please, I will have my WebEx open these next 2 days for you guys to ask questions. If you are having a hard time finding a job that you're like, I want this job, let me know. I can help you find it. If you're not sure where to find any of this information, rewind the video first and rewatch that chunk. But let me know and I can help you out. Let me delete that too. Remember that you are doing this for 2 jobs. Let me know if you have any questions, but otherwise you can go ahead and do this one more time for one more job, and then you should be finished up.